Car Obsession is proudly supported by Carly and Draggy. Check out the video description to find out the latest discount codes. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another point of view review. This time I'm joined by the very bold, very green Ford Focus ST, which has recently been treated to a facelift. So as you can hopefully see, it now has a different front end, which I think looks a lot better compared to the pre-facelift, as it looks sharper, sleeker, more aggressive and overall more cohesive with the rest of the car. I thought the pre-facelift looked a little bit frumpy in my opinion. Apart from that, the rest of the car is as it was. You do have the new mean green paintwork, which is an optional extra. That is £825. If I come to the rear, you will see again that, yeah, it's the same as it was before. Now let me speak you through the power and the performance, which again is unchanged from the pre-facelift. But in case you don't know, under the bonnet, this has a 2.3 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder petrol, which kicks out 280 horsepower along with 420 Newton meters of torque. The power is fed to the front wheels via a 6-speed manual, but you can have an automatic if you so prefer. Now this will hit 62 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds, and the top speed is 155 miles per hour. So that is exactly the same as the pre-facelift, although I would argue that this car didn't really need any additional power. Now there are some changes to the inside of the car as well. Again, as you can hopefully see, the Recaro seats have gone, and in their place you have Ford Performance branded seats. So Ford Performance is now making its own seats in-house, and whilst in my opinion they do look a little bit ungainly to sit in, they are fantastic. They hold you in place really well and they are comfortable and supportive. The other key change on the interior, if I slip on my way into my driver's seat, is the rather dominating 13.2 inch touchscreen, which has Ford's new Sync 4 system. So Sync 3 has finally been retired, and in its place you have the Sync 4 system. Now before we do anything else, this is of course a performance car, so yes, you know what's coming. The driving gloves. Some of you love them, some of you hate them, but they're coming on regardless. Well, going on, I should say. So yes, the gloves are most definitely on. Fire up the 2.3 litre 4-pot. And we don't want normal mode, do we? We want sport mode. So you do have a button on the steering wheel, which will take you directly to sport, a nice little shortcut. Or if you go to mode, you will see on the 13.2 inch touchscreen, you have a choice of 4, but you only get racetrack if you go for the performance pack, which is an £800 option. So you have slippery, which I would say is pointless in a car like this. It is a hot hatch wearing Pirelli P0 tyres, therefore yeah, slippery I doubt it's going to do much good. You have normal. I do really like the way how you have different graphics for each mode. Sport, and of course as I mentioned, you have racetrack, which turns off the ESC. You have a little graphic of Laguna Seca, which is nice. Let's pop it into sport mode and away we go. Now this does have launch control, but a fellow YouTuber and good friend of the channel, Pocket Rockets, tried a few launches yesterday in similar conditions. So a warmish day, nice and dry, and it just couldn't put the power down. It was still spinning away like a good one. So yeah, there's no point in me trying a launch, because all I'm going to do is to put the car under unnecessary mechanical stress, and I'd rather avoid that because it's not my car. This has been given to me by Ford UK, and I want to look after it. I'm good that way. Okay. Whoa. This is a real bit of kit. Oh yes. So as I mentioned, you can hit, well, if you've got the right conditions and if your changes are quick enough. Oh, look at that. Oh, 911, beautiful. You can hit 62 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds, but I do think you will need the planets to align for that to happen. Now, as I've mentioned, or may have mentioned, no, I did mention it, this car, unlike other fast Fords I've had, which have been wearing Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres. This is wearing Pirelli P0s, and I've had this tyre on a few cars, and in my experience I find that this compound only really works in nice, hot, sticky conditions. Even days like today where it is a little bit cooler, the compound isn't quite at its best. Now, some of you may swear by these tyres and may have a different experience, but I can only speak from my own personal experience. Now, at this point, I do want to apologise if my head is bobbing about and it's starting to make you feel a little bit seasick. In sport mode, well, this has got the adaptive dampers as part of the performance pack, and therefore when you put it into sport mode, the ride does become firmer and of course more jiggly. Unlike cars such as the Hyundai i30N, I don't have a custom or individual mode. So when I'm in sports mode, I haven't got a custom mode in which I can put everything to maximum attack and leave the ride in normal or comfort. No. So yeah, you'd have to kind of put up with a little bit of motion for my head and neck, because yeah, the ride in sport is jiggly. Is it too firm for daily use? It may be for some, if I'm going to be honest. And from what I can remember from the pre-facelift Focus ST, I don't recall the ride being quite as unsettled as this. It has got 19-inch alloys, whereas I think the previous Focus STs have had, because I had the Focus ST diesel hatchback, and I had the Focus ST petrol estate. Oh, wireless phone charging. I thought they were on 18s, not 19s, but I may be wrong. So maybe that's what's causing the difference, or it could be the tyre compound. Like I say, previous Fast Fords I've had have been wearing Michelin Pilot Sport 4s. So for the sake of easing your potential sickness, nausea, I will pop it into normal, and hopefully you'll see a change in ride comfort. Yeah, all of a sudden it becomes more compliant and yeah, more willing to keep you in place. Like the old car, I do have an electronically controlled diff, if I can get my words out. So through the corners, the Focus ST is very, very good indeed, and the chassis is quite playful, a bit more playful than the i30N, I'd say, and the outgoing FK8 Civic Type R. New Type R, the FL5, is coming soon. Hopefully, I can get my grubby little hands on it, because that is a car I'm extremely interested in. If you don't know, I love a hot hatch, and cars like this really tickle my pickle. Right, this road is a bit smoother, so let's pop it back into sport mode. This car does make a good noise. Now, with it being a fast Ford, you do of course have a sound symposer, so it is feeding engine noise into the cabin. But you know what, I don't mind that. In my opinion, it simply adds to the theatre, the drama of this car. So yeah, I've got no concerns about that, no complaints, but I know some of you may have. The 6-speed manual gearbox, like the pre-facelift, offers a very, very satisfying change. It's snappy, slick, and it's got a nice mechanical feeling to it as well. Not quite as razor sharp as the FK8, but it's not far behind. You do have rev matching as standard, so when you have the car in sport or racetrack, you do have rev matching. Now, I've mentioned the ride is quite jiggly, but what really helps to save the day are these fantastic sport seats. As much as I do think they're not as attractive to look at as the Recaros, credit where credit's due, and they really do a fantastic job at keeping you in your place. The bolsters are nice and chunky, but they're not too restrictive. I'm a fairly skinny person, but I'd like to think that even if you're a bit broader, there's a bit of space left over for you. Whereas in the Recaros, they were quite, I'd say they're probably a bit narrower. So if you were a broader person, you'll probably find that they may pinch you a little bit. But yeah, I'd say these sport seats are a bit more forthcoming for the larger person, in my opinion. The seat is set quite nice and low. The front seats are electronically adjustable as standard, and they're also heated. And I've also got a heated steering wheel, which is nice, but on a day like today, I simply don't need those functions. Anyway, I'm going to shut up for a bit and just let you enjoy the drive. Just soak in the atmosphere, and I will have a chat with you in a bit. Oh wow. Not quite sure what that was. Beautiful was what it was. Oh, look at that, dead on 60. The engine is nice and responsive. There's there's no lag I can detect, because this engine, as standard, has got anti-lag technology, which has been fed down from the Ford GT and the Ford F-150. And the clue's in the name, it's anti-lag, so it stops turbo lag. And it ensures that the turbo is always ready to spool up, so when you put your foot down, you're not just waiting for the boost to kick in. It's there, ready and waiting for you. Now let's speak about the handling. The handling is very, very good. The Pirelli P0 tyres offer a high level of grip. The steering is very direct, very responsive. Just flick your wrists, and as you can see, the car is very willing to change direction. Body roll is well controlled. The brakes are fantastic. The brake pedal, it's got a nice firmness to it. It feels meaty, it feels substantial, and the feedback through it is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, the Focus ST is superb through the corners. MX-5, go on lad, or ladette. Now, as wonderful as this car is, there's quite a large problem, and that is the price. Granted, this car is carrying a few options, but this car that I'm sat in right here, right now, is almost £39,000. I mean, the whole idea of a fast Ford, in my opinion, is that it should be a working class hero. It should be a performance car that your average Joe can aspire to. But at almost £39,000, how many people are going to be able to afford that? Don't get me wrong, I know everything is going up at the moment, but I just think it's a difficult price to justify for this car. Particularly when you're bearing in mind you could get a Hyundai i30N, which in my opinion represents better value, comes with a longer warranty, which you can also use for track days, and that, roughly speaking, you know, I may be a little bit out, but I think it's about £1,500 cheaper. That's not to be sniffed at. Okay, granted, if you're doing finance, you're not really going to notice 1,500 quid over the course of 3 or 4 years, but you get my point. And I know that if you wanted a Golf GTI, that would cost more money than this would, but yeah, I just think for the car, it's just a lot of money. I love a fast Ford, but, you know, could I spend this amount of money on this car? Oh, as fun as it is, I don't think I could. And on that somewhat negative note, I'm going to bring the proceedings to a close, particularly as there's a big horse race at the Goodwood Racecourse, so there's loads of traffic up here. So I'm going to slip in here and finish today's shenanigans. Just wait for these cyclists. Great indication. Lovely. Love it. I left my crystal ball at home, so I don't know where you were going. Anyway. Oh, I think she almost fell off. So there we have it, guys. The Ford Focus ST. I do hope you have enjoyed this video or found it useful. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.